I wanna ask you something that I don't think it was discussed on the YouTube channel yet, but hopefully maybe after this interview, a portion of it will go on the YouTube channel. So what we do here in the list building lifestyle community, we build email lists and we email, and usually an email will go out from a software to like a lot of people, like 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people, and they all get the same email. Now, usually it's promoting something. It's either selling an idea, maybe a product, a book. It could be anything or seminar. And my question to you: how would you change the process of empathy, labeling, accusation audits, if you were to change it, in this setup? In this, because so far we've talked about only one-on-one communication where we can at least guesstimate what the other person feels like. Well, what if we're mailing out to a group of people? And just to preface it, this group has some common interest. It could be that they're all Republicans, or they're all into running Facebook ads, or they're all in the real estate space. So we know there's at least some commonality there, but we can't talk to each and every one of them directly and personally.
Well, I mean, there's going to be a point in time where you will have that conversation, obviously, right? Because this is a blanket email going out to 1,000 people, and I don't know what your rate of return is on it, but for the sake of this discussion, let's say you get 100 people that respond and say, "Yes, I want this thing." At some point, you're going to have that interpersonal communication with them, and
Okay, let me give you a more concrete than example.
okay,
Let's say we're sending out an email to 1,000 people who have purchased your book, and the email reads something like, "In July, I'm hosting a 3-day live event on negotiations training. Would you like more details?" And they can answer with a yes.
all right. So first of all, it's clear that you're driving for a yes in that email. And I would caution you about pushing people for a yes, because we are yes addicted and we are yes battered. I know when you are trying to get me to say yes, and immediately I become defensive because yes is always commitment, yes is always obligation. You are encroaching on my autonomy when you are pushing me for a yes. There's ideas out there about yes momentum, yesable propositions, mere agreement.
Get to a yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the problem with that, as I mentioned, is that the thought process behind that, and then I'll tell you the problem. The thought process behind that is that if I get you to say yes to a bunch of little things through the course of our interaction, when I get to my ultimate ask, the big yes, you're more inclined to give it. Some people even call these things yes tie downs. There are sales training companies out there that use this as a method to train salespeople. And I look at that and I say, you guys actually call these things yes tie downs, where you're trying to tie your counterpart down, and you think they like that? You think they feel good about that being tied down? And so just be careful about driving for a yes. It's been talked about as one of the most seductive words in any language, because we love to hear it. We love to hear it, but we hate to give it up. And so in your email example, I would start off that email that you sent with a no-oriented question. Have you given up on improving your ability to influence other people? And then a no-oriented question. Would you be against attending this seminar in July for these types of people? Boom, and then send it off. So 2 no-oriented questions. I'm driving for a no and not a yes. A no is always protection and safety. So if you think of two sides of one coin, on one side, no is safety and protection. On the other side is yes, commitment and obligation. And people do not like to be committed or obligated to something that they haven't volunteered for. And so if I was going to improve that email, that's how I would do it.
Yo, it's Igor. I want you to have my Amazon bestselling book for free for taking the time to listen to my podcast and to watch my YouTube videos. Now, I'm not only going to give you this book for free, but I'm going to throw in about $3.2 thousand in free bonuses. Now, if you want to get this book, please click the link in the description, or you can also go to igorsbook.com. And now, back to the podcast. Okay, noted. Now, would you be against me putting you on the spot with a slightly different example?
No, not at all. See, love that no or any question.
Yes, I thought you'd appreciate it. So, a different example, let's say same list of people, you're still marketing the seminar, but now your job is to not get them to reply to you, but rather to click on a link that has all the seminar information and a link to sign up. Basically, you don't have the ability in this case to close all these deals personally, and you need to fill like 1,000 seats or something. You may blasting this big list. So would you change the email structure in this case when the idea is to get them to click on a link that tells them more about the seminar where they can sign up?
The only change that I would make would be the no-oriented question would stay the same. Have you given up on improving your negotiation skills? And then I would just put, if not, would you be against clicking the link below to register?
Right. Okay. I can appreciate that. I love it. The other technique that I tend to use in my emails, I do make an attempt to try to echo how I know my target market may be feeling. It's something that I noticed you guys do a lot over at Black Swan, especially with people who have like a boss, so they have to go and ask the boss for a raise or something like that, as well as the people you're helping in the real estate market. Because I know you work with lots of like brokers and agents who need to close deals and stuff. So you do that quite a bit where you clearly show us that you understand exactly what they're going through.
Mm-hmm. When you, even in an email environment, when you can articulate what's going on with the other side before they have. So when you're articulating something that they haven't said yet, there's no clearer way to demonstrate that you are viewing this from their perspective. And so I encourage people always ask yourself, if you were them, what would you be thinking about you? What would you be thinking about this conversation? What would you be thinking about this email? What would you be thinking about this interaction? What would you be thinking about the circumstances? And when I say thinking, I'm talking about what are those negative, slanderous things that they could be thinking about you? And I would sprinkle those throughout the email, and I would start with one or two at the beginning of the email, just to demonstrate for them that this is not your everyday average sales pitch, so to speak. This is me understanding your motivations, your worldview, your frame of reference. And again, you're facilitating that need that all of us have, dissipating negative emotions. You're making them clearer of mind. And the big thing is, this is your first attempt at tactical empathy. And one of the best characteristics of tactical empathy is that it encourages reciprocity. People are subconsciously obligated to return that, quote, feel good aspect back to you. And so one of the examples I like to use, when you're walking into a structure, a real estate establishment or a retail establishment, and let's say you and I, we just parked our cars in the car park and we've gotten out, and now we're walking towards this shopping center. and you and I, we're strangers. We arrive at that outer door at the same time. I reach out, I grab that handle, and I hold the door open for you, and I say, please go ahead. And you say, thank you. And then you get to that inner set of doors. What are you going to do 95% of the time?
I'm gonna try and open it for you
You're
then.
going to, because I have obligated you, because I did it first. And now you feel a burden almost to return that favor to me. And it wasn't an obligation that you weren't expecting. So it is like a burden. You want to get rid of it as fast as possible. So you reach that inner door before I do, and bam, you grab it and you hold it open for me, and you allow me to walk through. That's just a very small example of the impressive reciprocal nature of tactical empathy.
No, that's incredible. I really love to be picking your brain, and I wish we had more time. So I want to use this opportunity to first off tell people about your book. And guys, if you're listening to this, if you're fascinated with the techniques we're discussing, if you want to become a better negotiator, a better communicator,
Better person.
whether with your better person, whether with your family and friends, your children, the boss at work, if you don't have a boss, with yourself, maybe with your clients, with potential business partners, joint venture partners, then you should check out Ego, Authority, Failure: Using Emotional Intelligence Like a Hostage Negotiator to Succeed as a Leader by Derek Gaunt. Now, I would also throw this in and recommend you check out Never Split the Difference if you haven't. I would also seriously encourage you to go to the Black Swan Group website, which is located at blackswanltd.com, and sign up to the free newsletter, as well as check out all the different trainings they have going on there, and subscribe to the Black Swan Group YouTube channel, where these guys put out so much cool content. Like, every now and again, I would even just be dropping my daughter off somewhere, and I'll be on the way back, I would be listening just to like a 7-minute YouTube video that just reinforces some sort of concept, like labeling or accusation audit, or being able to change the tone of voice, or being able to communicate with a different um, uh, 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 personality type, because you guys talk about the 3 personality types. Also, if you kind of don't understand most of the things we've talked about here, then you should definitely check out Never Split the Difference, because all the different techniques that we talk about, as such as labeling and all the different types of questions you should or shouldn't ask, etc., it's all in the book. And it's quite fascinating just how much better you become, and how quickly too. Like, this is the one thing that I think really made Never Split the Difference kind of take the world by storm so quickly, because you take this really complicated um, subject of communication, and you simplify it, and you make it applicable, right? So this is what I think Black Swan did for me. It made these complex concepts applicable in my day-to-day life and in my day-to-day business activities.
Yeah, and I appreciate the plugs there. But to your point, communication is complicated, but the actual skills used are simple. Why? Because they were devised, or they were adopted by cops and simplified for cops. And cops want things that are easy to recall, are practical and effective, regardless of what it is, whether you're talking about a vehicle, a gun, or communication skills. Is it practical? Is it effective? Is it easily ready for recall? And so we've kept it simple by design, and really, we're really adamant about just getting out of your own way and focusing on what's coming out of the mouth of the counterpart. Are you good enough to uncover the latent dynamics based on the totality of the situation? In every difficult conversation, doesn't matter if it's with your daughter, with your boss, with a counterpart, Every difficult conversation, there's a presenting dynamic or emotion, and there's a latent dynamic or emotion. The presenting dynamic or emotion is exactly the words coming out of their mouth, but the latent dynamic or emotion is you asking yourself, what did they not say with the words that they used? And when you can uncover that, that's where the gold is found.
Seriously, just guys, just go get the books. Ego, Authority, Failure, Never Split the Difference. Check out the Black Swan Group on YouTube and the Black Swan Group website at Black Swan Ltd. Um, Trust me, you will thank me later. It is one of those life changing resources. I think it's one of the top 10 things that I keep going back to over and over again. Sometimes when sometimes you want a new thing to read, for example, but sometimes you just go and reread something that's really awesome and just hone in on the concepts. And it's one of those things. It's so critical and is applicable in quite literally every area of your life, starting with your work and going into your personal life, and even self-talk is you'll be actually able to achieve what many people said over the years, like be your own best friend, be your own best friend. Well, it starts with communication, and if you've got a lot of critical self-talk going on, just being able to label yourself is going to be tremendous for you. So Derek, I can't begin saying just how grateful I am for this hour we spent together. It has been an absolute pleasure, and uh, that's about it from the Lisbon lifestyle for now.